All right, you should be on page 2 now, finishing up 8.1. So now we're going to talk about adding and subtracting our polynomials. So first we need to talk about what is called standard form. So we learned about standard form of linear equations back in Unit 6. This is now standard form of polynomials. So the standard form is where the degrees of its monomial terms, which just means the degrees of each individual term, is in order from left to right. What that means is we go largest to smallest. So when you have all of your different terms, we put the largest exponent term first, and then the next largest, and then the next largest, so on and so forth until we get to the smallest, which would be at the very end. So we're going to practice these ones together by writing each polynomial in standard form. So you need to identify the terms. We have 5 and negative 2x. Those are your two different terms. So this 5 does not have any exponents. It doesn't have any variables. So that's technically an exponent of 0. And this x, we don't see any exponents, so that's an exponent of 1. We want to put them in order from largest to smallest. So the largest is the exponent of 1. So we put negative 2x, and the negative goes with the 2, so it has to stay with the 2. And then, so now we've used this one. Then we have the 5, and that's a positive 5, because see how there's nothing in front? So plus 5. Now we've used that term. This is standard form. So they're the same terms, 5 and negative 2x, 5 and negative 2x. I put them in standard form by putting the negative 2x first, and then the plus 5. On the next one, I have 3x to the 4th, negative 4, and plus 2x squared. The degree on the first term is 4. The degree on the next term, there's no variable, so the exponent is 0. And the degree on the last one is 2. So I want to put them from largest to smallest exponent. So 4 still comes first, which means 3x to the 4th is still the first term. Next should be the next largest, which would be 2. And that's a plus 2x squared. And then the last term is minus 4. Because it has no exponents, because it has no variables. So 3x to the 4th plus 2x squared minus 4. I have the exact same terms, I just rearranged them. You are going to try these ones. You are going to write them all in standard form. When you're done, you need to check with the answer key on Google Classroom. It will have these 3 for you to check. If they are incorrect, do not just change them. I want you to try to fix them. But if you can't fix them or you can't understand what's wrong, let me know. When you are checking, pay very close attention to your plus and minus signs, your positives and negatives. Make sure they're with the correct terms. The next thing we're going to look at are combining some things. So we're going to simplify the polynomial, then write it in standard form, then name it. So we're going to do this one together. When it says simplify, it means we need to look to see if we have any like terms. And we can do that kind of in the same step we write it in standard form. So notice that you have an x squared, and there's another x squared term. Those would go together. I have a constant. I have another constant. And I have a cubic term. So to write it in standard form, I've got a 2, a 0, a 3, a 0, and a 2. The 3 is the largest, and it has no like terms. And it's positive, so that's the first term is 5x to the third. I'm going to check mark that box. I've used it. Now I've got a 2, a 0, and a 2. Well, the next largest would be the 2, but they're like terms, so I need to combine them. Remember, this is 1x squared plus 4x squared. 1 plus 4 is 5x squared. So I've combined those terms. Now I have 0 and 0. Those are like terms. Negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. Now I have the third, the squared, and a 0. So 5x cubed plus 5x squared minus 2. Now we're going to classify it. From the front side, there were 2 ways to classify, and we're going to use both. By the number of terms and by the degree. How many terms do I have? I have 3. So that is a trinomial because there are 3 terms, trinomial. And the degree based on the largest exponent, which is a 3. So that is cubic. This one is now on your own. Same thing, you're going to do this, combine like terms if need be, write it in standard form and classify, and then check with the answer key. Once again, if anything is wrong about it, don't just change it. Make sure you understand why it's wrong, especially with the standard form. If you have numbers that don't match up with mine, don't just change them. Go back and see what did you do wrong. Did you combine like terms wrong or something? All right, now we're going to talk about adding polynomials. To add polynomials, we simply write it without parentheses and combine like terms. So the reason we can write it without parentheses, let's talk about this. If we're adding, so what number is in front of this parenthesis right here? Well, there's a 1. And if I distribute a 1 to these 3 terms, does anything change? No. Then I have a plus and a 1. Once again, if I distribute a positive 1 to all 3 of those terms, does anything change? Once again, no. So when you are adding your polynomials, you can just drop the parentheses and combine like terms. 4x squared plus 2x squared is 6x squared. 6x minus 9x is negative 3x. And then 7 and 1 is 8. Make sure it's in standard form. You are going to try the next 2 on your own and then check with the key. And then I have to pause. Bell rang. I will do this in the next video.